Oh my God, are you joking?
Well, because I read it like a month ago, so I had to reread it. Like, I mean, I skimmed through it. Like, I didn't like reread like page to page, but like I kind of skimmed through each chapter.
Okay, so we should be live. Maybe.
Maybe.
How long have we been doing this and it's like up in the air? Like, is this working? Who knows? Or each week, each month.
I'm so excited for you.
Okay, we are officially live. No.
It took him a while to get back to you, though.
I know. Okay. Did you pop out?
What?
Did you pop out the chat?
Are we live?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Oh, we're on your channel. Duh. There we go. Hi, everyone. Oh, nope.
Mute.
That. Hi, Erin. Wait. Pop out chat.
Oh, puppies.
My puppies? Is that who you can see?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was pleasantly surprised about this one.
There's just one thing that really irked me that I just couldn't seem to get past. I still gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but that one thing almost made me knock it to a 3.
We'll get that bad?
Yeah, it really pissed me off.
Okay.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Okay, so. Do we want to start? Wait for. Let me shut the door. They're being rambunctious.
So I think I rated this a 4.
Okay.
I'm double checking. It's been so long since I finished this one.
I finished this week, I believe. I finished it this week.
I actually read the first and the second one this month.
Oh, really? Did you like the second one?
Not as much as the first one.
Okay. I guess I'll just go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. So what did you rate it?
Okay, I rated it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rated it a 4 as well.
Okay.
It has an average of 3.82.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a pretty high average, so. What did you like the most before we like jump into spoilers?
So I really liked that, like the whole Watson Holmes, obviously. Like that was my favorite aspect of it. And I really loved that they even tied in side characters to play it. Like I love that Moriarty was a part of this too.
Yeah.
So I like that we get that play from the original works in this, and then we get to see different takes on it.
Mm-hmm. I also liked how her brother was kind of like Mycroft.
Yes.
Yes. So it's like he's the really successful, brilliant, super like high, powerful guy. I really liked that. dynamic between Mycroft and Charlotte. Or Milo and Charlotte.
I was gonna say, his name wasn't Minecraft, was it?
Yeah, it was Milo.
I know, I really loved that. I loved the play on that, and I actually didn't mind the romance between Charlotte and Charlotte and Watson, because it was different. Like, you don't see that in the normal stories, so I thought it was a nice twist there. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. I liked the romance because I felt like Watson was so obsessed, or Jamie was so obsessed with Charlotte. Now, I've never read a Sherlock Holmes book. I have watched the BBC show of it. So that's like my only background I have with Sherlock Holmes, and I don't know how accurate that is, but I got the vibe that that's how the story is. Like, Watson is kind of obsessed with Sherlock, or like Dr. Watson is obsessed with Sherlock. So I like that. I mean, if that's how the story really goes, then I understand why he like got obsessed with her. Like, it was like an insta friendship. Does that make any sense?
It was, but you also have to like take into other accounts too. Okay, so what did you guys rate it before we start ranting about things? So you have to take into account that they have history, like their family has history, like they grew up learning about each other. So it was like a constant, you felt like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you never met your cousins, but you constantly heard about your cousins, as soon as you met them, you felt like there was that instant connection because you've been hearing about them your entire life. That's kind of the same thing, except with a little bit of animosity in there.
That's true.
So it was that the Insta friendship, is that the what kind
No.
of killed you?
No.
It wasn't?
No.
I'm gonna try so hard to convince you that this is amazing, Mark.
No, I really liked it. There's just one thing that really pissed me off.
Jeez. So Julie said I gave it a 3, but I think I would have liked it more if I had any knowledge of Sherlock Holmes. Never read or watched any of the shows. Okay, so this I could totally get, because if you haven't seen anything like the play on their personalities, honestly, if I were coming with no knowledge, I would think Sherlock Holmes would be a very unlikable protagonist. And I can see that. But she's supposed to be, because she's highly intelligent. And that's kind of a thing, like, if you didn't have that previous knowledge, it would be hard to wrap around, you know? So I get it. Like, I get why people wouldn't like her. So Julie, I'm curious why you gave it a 3. Like, what did you dislike and like? Like, I want to see that stuff in the comments, and then I can convert you all into liking the book more.
I will say, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars, but I don't think it's as good as Stalking Jack the Ripper. Like, I can see why it's being compared to it a little bit, but I wouldn't consider it, because I think like there is a review where it actually says it's compared to Stalking Jack the Ripper.
Well, we kind of talked about that too, was that it has the same vibes, because for me, Stalking Jack the Ripper has very Sherlock Watson vibes.
Yeah, but I thought there was like an actual, like, you know, like on the back, there's like the reviews and stuff, and it all say like, if you enjoyed this, you might enjoy this. I thought there was some, well, I don't see it on this one, but I thought there was something where it actually said like it's compared to Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I mean, I see like the resemblance to the book, but meh.
I mean, I see they both definitely have like the two main characters who are highly intelligent, and they work together as a team and solve mysteries, and they use like their knowledge, their kind of obscure knowledge, to help them figure things out. So I mean, I can get it, but So Aaron says, I read this book a while ago and have it at a 3.75, but the same with Julie. I haven't seen any Sherlock Holmes shows or anything, but it was still a good book overall. Okay.
Okay. Hannah, do you want to go into anything that you didn't like?
So I think it moved a bit slow for me at times. I wish that there would have been, it would have jumped into the action a little bit more, but I can understand why it did it, because especially people who have already thought that like it was instant friendship, it would be hard to hit the ground running without having previous knowledge. You know what I mean? So I think if it moved any faster, it would have been like, this is out of nowhere. But I wish there was the action was more gripping, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like the pacing, there was a little bit of a disconnect with the pacing. I felt like there were some spots where it was going too slow. And it's like the slow parts was like with him just like the poker games and or like just him being in his room and just kind of like him just talking about Charlotte and just like their family's connection when it was just like his inner thoughts. I felt like it was moving really slow. And then when we actually got action, it was over within like 5 pages.
Yeah. I really do like the look on the lineage. I really appreciated that we got to see, like, one, that they're all connected. So I love that it was the family thing, and we got to see the family dynamics with Watson. We got to see what other Watson and Holmes dynamics were by talking about the past. I really liked seeing that aspect, and I liked that we got, like, when he was in his head thinking about those things, that it was, what do I know about Charlotte and what have I heard about her entire family type of thing. And I like that they played that trope and that they're all the same type of thing. Like, at least I really liked that, because it made it feel very like they've been taught this way versus they're just oddballs.
I love the fact that, I mean, this is obviously a Sherlock Holmes retelling, but I love the fact that they're actually related and that like Sherlock Holmes and Watson exist. I haven't really read a book where with a retelling where like the story is being retold from exists in the book, and like I just thought it was just gonna be like a complete like retelling. Like I had no idea. I was like going into this book being like, okay, well, we're gonna have a main character who's like Sherlock Holmes, a main character who's like Dr. Watson, but like the second that I learned like, oh, Sherlock and Watson actually exist.
They're direct descendants. It's so good.
Yeah, I really liked that. I thought that was super cool and well done. So I really liked that.
So what did you dislike?
Okay, so there is a, okay, we're about to jump into spoilers, guys. Okay, so there is a scene. Okay, well, first of all, how did we like the sheriff before I jump in? Like the other characters.
I don't even remember the sheriff. Who's the sheriff?
The sheriff, what? Sherigan or Detective Shepard? Sorry. The main guy, the main like police officer in like who's doing the investigation.
He doesn't stick out in my mind, so that's how much I liked him.
Okay, so I had one issue with the book, and I don't know. Okay, so basically, this is when, well, Detective Shepard, this is when he arrests Sherlock and Watson after, so, okay, after Dobbs dies. Is it Dobbs? Dodge? Dobbs? Is it Dobbs?
Dodge.
Dodge? Okay, after he dies, obviously, you know, all the police officers, everyone comes to the school, and then Detective Shepard, like, brings back Charlotte and Jamie to be questioned because they were the last ones to have kind of like an altercation. Do you remember this scene at all?
Yeah.
And like they're sitting in the room, and then they brought in Jamie's dad, and like the three of them are sitting in the room. Okay, so basically, Charlotte admits that Dodge, is it Dodge?
I think so.
I forget what his name is. I don't know if it's Dobbs or Dodge. But basically, she tells him that she was sexually assaulted, and like the cop did nothing. Like it wasn't even addressed. It was basically like Dobbs. Okay, yeah, it was basically like brushed over by the police department, and they were just like, okay, so did you kill him? And I was like, oh my God, that bothered me so much. I couldn't get over it. Like how, like that a law enforcement was told that this person sexually assaulted another person. And even though, they are killed, like they didn't do anything.
So I can understand why that would be like an irritant, but here's my like rationalizing of that is one, if you like, this is a little real world, that if you are sexually assaulted and it's without the span of time, there's no proof, and that sucks. And I get that sucks, but like to do like a sexual assault kit, like it has to be within the window span. So even if someone says this person sexually assaulted me, that there's not anything that the police can actually do. And the fact that she was there for a murder, you have to think like from police mindset that that's not the issue you're dealing with at hand. Like, who knows how long ago this is? Who was it? Like,
Right.
like this, the situation isn't what you're dealing with. And so it's like, there's not a lot they could have done anyways. I agree they should have handled it, but that even if they did like address it, they wouldn't be able to go anywhere with it type of thing.
Yeah, I guess like they could have been like, do you need counseling, or do you feel like you need to get tested? I don't know. I feel like it was just brushed over, so like it was just basically matter of fact without like that. I wish it would just had been taken out altogether. Like I feel like there are so many other conflicts that could have. I understand why, it created a conflict between Charlotte and Dobbs to make Charlotte a suspect, but there could be so many other things that could have been created to cause that conflict. Maybe maybe he like made a pass at her instead of actually like assaulting her, or said something, or just maybe harassment. But I didn't care for that. I was like, what was the point of even putting it in the book if it's like just literally matter of fact? I don't know. That was my only gripe.
So I agree with you, but it makes a difference in the relationships in the next book, because her sexual trauma is very forefront in the second book, and it's has to deal with like the relationships and how they interact, and her dealing with that emotional trauma and her working through that, and we see her emotional strain, how much it takes a strain on her in the second book.
Okay.
So I agree with you if you only read this one book that you would not understand it. But I read this book and I went directly into the second book. So like I can speak on that a little bit. But I agree with this book.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't like how the detective handled it. Like I don't know. And I don't know anything about police work, or I don't know anything. I don't know about like helping someone. I have no education or like training on like how to speak with someone with any sort of sexual, assault or anything. But I feel like something more could have been said. Just like literally she says, I was sexually assaulted, and then the police officer is like, okay, moving on to the next thing. Like there wasn't even a paragraph of, is there anything we can do to help you? I don't know. That was just one thing that really irked me.
Yeah, Julie says that they should have shown more empathy, but yes, there was nothing that they could have really done besides counseling, etc. It would have probably just even more solidified that she was the killer. Yeah, so I think like the way that it should have been handled in the book was, did you report it at the time? Like, why didn't you report it? Like, maybe we should talk about that type of thing. And
Correct.
then been like, why didn't you report it? And then they could have maybe worked in like, the girls are afraid to report sexual assault and think no one's going to believe them. Or, like there's so many different angles and truths that could have been spoken about with that would have shown light on it better. But unfortunately in that situation, like they should have shown that, but you really can't do, like you can't prosecute someone after a year of sexual assault without physical evidence.
That's true. But yeah, that was my only thing. I'm like trying to find the scene.
Something that irked me about this book was the roommate, like Watson's roommate. Like that for me came out of nowhere and it made
Yeah.
no sense. And I was just like, why? Why is this? No. And this isn't like a super spoiler because it's literally at the beginning of the next book. But like Watson just like forgives this guy, like his roommate, for like spying on him and putting cameras in his room and shit. And it's like, what? Like, no. You are that desperate for friends that you're gonna accept someone who literally puts cameras in your room to spy on you? Like that's weird.
Yeah. Okay, so I found this scene, this is what pissed me off even more, is the fact that like the police officer basically like, I don't know, I read it wrong. So basically, the officer's talking to them and he says, he held up a hand before I could stand, except for the part where when we found Dobson's body. Okay, okay. So, gosh, Shepard is talking to them, and he's even saying, he says something like, or the part where you had sex with him. He was facing Holmes, but his eyes were fixed on me. My father stopped writing. Nothing could have prepared me for that. So then Charlotte, so then he says, he says, is there a reason you decided to keep that fact a secret? Not just from me either. It looks like even your friend here had no idea. Like, why would you tell your friends that? Like, you know, like he's being accusational, it feels like. I don't know.
Well, when he's like at the point of view of you just slept with someone versus a sexual assault, then he's like, you have a motive to hide something. So that's like where the cop is trying to like needle Charlotte.
Fair enough. Then she said that she was using a large amount of oxy. She says, considering my impaired state, it wasn't consensual. She paused. Do you have any more questions? Her voice broke on the last word. At that, I had to leave the room. And that's literally it. I was like, what? Okay, so maybe they discussed about it in private because this is from Watson's point of view. So.
Yeah, that's being optimistic there.
Yeah. That was my only thing. That was really my only thing that I just kept thinking about. And I was like, oh, I didn't like it. Anyways, moving on.
So the second one is called The Last of August. And the third one is The Case for Jamie.
So it's a trilogy?
I think there might be more. Those are the only three that's out right now, I think.
Okay.
I think, anyways. Are you guys going to continue on with the series?
I think I'm going to listen to them. Oh, fourth one's coming out, Julie says. I think I'm going to listen. So I was actually listening to the audiobook much quicker than I was reading the book. Like when I was reading it, especially parts where it was just in Watson's head, I felt myself like falling out of the story and having to reread words. But when I was listening to it, I liked the different accents and I was able to listen it on 2x speed and just get it listened to really quickly. Much quicker than if I were reading it. So I think if it comes available on my public library, I'll listen to the second one, but I don't know if I'll physically read it.
I listened to the first and the second one because they're such easy reads and the accents are really nice. Yeah. Like it just like makes it flow. But I think I would also read them too. But I just really liked listening to them. Ooh, Holmes.
I'm sorry?
Question of Holmes, Julie says, is the fourth one. Yeah, March 5th.
That's exciting. Yeah, I think I might continue on. I think it's a good starter.
Yeah.
It's a good starter.
It's like a good sleuthy mystery that's not like too intense.
Yeah. Speaking of
mystery for like younger audiences.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of like mystery, were you shocked with the... Yes, Julie, I agree. The covers are amazing.
Yeah.
Were you shocked though with like who the killer actually was?
I'm trying to remember who the killer was versus. I'm trying to not compare them with the second book.
Do you want me to tell you who it is?
Yeah, who is
It's
the
the nurse.
Oh, I thought it was random.
Yeah.
I was like, I liked the tie-in with Moriarty, so I liked that aspect of it.
That it's Moriarty's brother. Because I don't know if Moriarty has a brother. It was his brother.
Wait, what?
It's Lance Moriarty, not August Moriarty.
I thought the nurse was August's
Was,
August's
but
girl.
she was, but it turns out that August wasn't the one behind everything. It was Lance. Is it Lance? I think it's Lance. Hang on. It's Moriarty's brother.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that it had ties to August.
Yeah, it did have ties to him, but he wasn't the one behind it all because it was his brother.
But the girl did it because
Lucian, not Lance, Lucian.
yes, because
Lucian,
I immediately thought of Harry Potter.
Lucian, yeah. So Lucian Moriarty is the one behind it all.
But it's all like predicated on the fact that the girl was with August and then they weren't anymore. So then she was like trying to do it to like get back with August or take something against August.
No, so okay, I mean, it's been a while. So August ended up being Charlotte's tutor, and Charlotte ended up telling the police that August was selling her drugs. Yeah. So August went to jail. And so that's where he lost. And then apparently the nurse thinks that he committed suicide, but he actually faked his death. But she thinks he's dead. So now she's trying to get back at Charlotte. And
yeah, see, I thought she was August's fiance.
She was.
And that's like the way that they got away from her was fake killing him.
I didn't understand the part where he faked his own death. I think it was so he didn't go to jail. So he like ran away.
I mean, he's in the next book.
August? Yeah, he's not dead. We find out he's not dead. The nurse thinks he's dead, but he's not.
So to answer your question, I wasn't surprised, but I also was like, what? Because I thought that was kind of out of the nowhere, and I kind of wanted to, like when you watch these mystery shows, you see the murderer like in the beginning. I was kind of hoping we'd already seen and interacted with the murderer before.
I did.
Yeah, but not like a main character, like
yeah,
like really interact.
Yeah.
The fact that we're calling her a nurse proves that we did not interact enough with her in the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of wished that had been so like the teacher and Tom thing, like the bugs in the room. That was just like that's like its own side story, and that was so dumb. Like, what was the point of it? Like, either tie it into the actual like the whole conflict, or just take it out altogether.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
His brother comes in at the very end when Watson is dying from being poisoned. They're talking to the nurse, and then she gets a call, and it's Lucian. So we don't hear about August's brother at all until like the last like 20 pages.
That's why I don't remember him.
Yeah. He was like really insignificant.
But that was a really good scene.
Yeah, it was.
See, the whole book, or at least like half the book, should have been like that intense. Like, I would have loved that.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
So did you think that the Jamie Watson or Jamie Charlotte love relationship was insta then, if you thought the friendship was insta?
No, because they were friends. They considered each other best friends before the romance, so I actually didn't mind the kiss at the end.
So I like that they played off their past, but I did think that they went from Charlotte hating him to all of a sudden they were best friends. And I was like,
Yeah.
I wish Charlotte would have just like hated him for a little longer.
Even though
Or like,
I love a good hate to love.
yeah,
But I just, yeah, it was a little insta best friends.
I get that. I wish that it would have been like, I guess I'll work with you, but stay out of my way type of thing. Like, I wish she would have shown her like conceitedness a little bit more, especially because she's been doing this for so much longer than he has. And
Right.
her intelligence, like, I think it would have been natural for her to be like, fine, you can come along and help, but don't get in my way. And I think that if she would have had that attitude towards their friendship, it would have been like a lot more satisfying.
Yeah. I think if the book maybe had been a little bit bigger, because it's not very big.
I know, it's actually pretty tiny.
So I think if it had been a little bit longer, we could have probably seen more of her friend, of that um, gradual from like hate or like indifferent. I don't think she actually hated him. She was just like indifferent.
Yeah.
But kind of like basically she looked down on him. Like, you're not as smart as me. You're not worth my time.
Which, I mean, I loved that she was like that bossy, to be honest.
Yeah. And I loved like the scenes where she could just like walk into a room and tell you everything. I wish we had gotten more scenes like that. I love that.
That's like one parts of my favorite scenes in like the movies and the TV shows is like,
Sure.
especially the one with Robert Downey Jr. where he like stops and like pauses everything and he analyzes everything. Like, I loved that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have heard good things about Stalking Jack the Ripper and have wondered if I should start reading it. Yes!
Yes, 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 yes.
It's so good.
One of my favorite books.
It's really good. It's a really good adaptation to like, it's a really good historical fiction adaptation. Not adaptation, but it's a good historical fiction. So it's set in the 1800s.
Yes.
It's like 1706 or something like that. And like Victorian England is like the setting. It's really good.
If you like the show Bones, you'll like that.
Yeah, it gets a little gory, a little bit.
But it's like medical. It's not like multiple stabbing and like
yeah, if medical stuff kind of like makes you really queasy, I'd say go into it cautiously.
Yeah.
But I loved it because, I mean, since I'm in the medical field, I loved it.
Can we talk about
Actually,
Hey Haley? Can we talk about Jamie's dad?
Yeah, he was just kind of really like just like.
So I found him very fascinating because he was so not an adult, but he was like supposed to be the adult, but he was like egging them on, and I was like, what is this? Like, like the fact that he sent him like intentionally so they would be entangled, like, what? And like he was very strange. I have zero words with how his personality was. Like, I'm so confused.
Yeah.
What adult sends their child to like a school clear across the country or not clear across the country, but like to a school to have them interact with this certain person?
Is that why he wasn't there? I thought he was given a scholarship for lacrosse and they just couldn't afford London.
Yeah, so they like address this. Like, do you really think that you were supposed to like because he was never on the lacrosse team. He got sent to this school for a scholarship for lacrosse and then never played. Like,
Oh, really? Because I thought he was good.
no, he was like, "Oh, you're average. Like, I sent you there for them, like, so you'll interact with Charlotte."
I missed that. I totally missed that.
And the fact that he was like egging them on like when they were figuring it out, and he was like getting so excited at that end when they were sitting in the living room after they come home from being arrested, and they're like, he's like, yeah, like are you gonna figure it out? Like, and he is so excited, and it's like, you should be like, stay out of trouble. Are you hurt? Like, you've just been arrested. Like, that's not a very parental thing. And he just, his parental meters were like off the charts, and was
Yeah.
like, that's what?
Oh, I I invited the sheriff over or the detective over for dinner.
Yes.
What? Okay, I don't know what you want. She like is begging to come up on my lap, and then she wants to get down. I don't know. But yes, like I thought so too. It was like, oh yes, the detective's coming over for like mince pie or something. I was like, what? Why? Like, who invites the lead detective who's investigating your kid for murder?
It's like he was such an instigator of like,
Yeah.
let's see how deep we can go with this rabbit hole type of thing. And it's all because he was like living vicariously through them because he no longer was in that like sleuthing ways.
Yeah.
It just was like weird.
I also didn't like him because he like kind of abandoned Jamie and his mom and his little sister. And then, so from the get go, I didn't have like a great vibe from him. But yeah, he was really goofy.
Very strange. I've never seen an adult act like that in a
Yeah.
book like that.
That's, yeah. Very, I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, Lena. I loved her. I wish we had gotten more of her. Charlotte's
Yes!
roommate.
I love that, like, one, she was accepting of her, like, crazy, like, weirdness of Charlotte, and two,
Yeah.
she was like, I'm along for the ride, I'm like, I'll do anything. I did think that the lair was very convenient, like, what school has this underground thing that no one goes to except, you know what I mean? Like, it was very strange.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Carry On, where like Baz goes down into the tunnels. I'm not going to say anymore, but I was like, what other school has
Tunnels.
I know, like sewers and like weird I mean, I guess they're in a Connecticut. I don't know. I don't know if there's I don't know.
I really liked that we got to see like the London, like British accents play in certain ways, and we talk about like, oh, when he gets really upset or irritated, his like Britishness comes out, and I really liked that.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Haley, like Chamber of Secrets. There's like a random like secret tunnels under the school.
And the fact that like she used that for fencing, like what?
Yeah.
Come on. What do we think about the lair? Like, and the fact that all of her stuff, like all of her fingerprints and everything was down there, like, I was like, what is this?
I didn't understand it. It didn't come back. So was that the nurse's lair? It was? Or was it a setup? They were setting her up? Or I didn't understand what that whole scene was.
I think it was the nurse's lair, but they were also setting her up.
Okay. I don't know. I just thought it was very strange. There were a couple things that I was just like, I don't understand.
Well, and the fact that like I love that I love that Charlotte wasn't surprised that it was like happening to her, and she was like, "Well, of course, like, of course, I all my stuff is gonna be here. Like, this is my lab here and stuff." And it was like hilarious that they were setting her up in that lab.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, the jewel and the rattlesnake And what's that girl's name? Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm.
She got attacked the day of the school dance. I didn't understand those either. Like, what was the point of the rattlesnake? What was the point of that jewel? Why was she attacked? Like, why did they shove a, like, blue jewel down, like, make her choke? I didn't understand.
That was, well, they addressed it that was the old Sherlock and Watson stories.
So she was just trying to throw in any random story that she could.
Well, it was supposed to look like someone who was obsessed with Sherlock and Watson, and like it was trying to throw you off the trail on someone who was obsessed with their stories, so they're recreating the murderers. They were wanting it to look like a copycat instead of to throw off the scent of August Moriarty.
Gotcha.
So that's why it was like such random things to like the naked eye, because like the blue gem and stuff like that was just random. But they were talking about it in the stories on how that's why they suspected the teacher, I believe, where he was like writing down notes and stuff, is because he was obsessed with the Sherlock Holmes stories.
Uh-huh.
And when he like put the piece of paper and was writing a separate copy to like to study them and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That makes sense now. I can understand that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, there's some things that just went through so quickly that I feel like there was a little bit of lack of explanation in a few things that I kind of wish that, like, a lot of the action scenes weren't well described.
Mm. Well, and so like in any mysteries, they want it to be a little obvious to the reader, but they want to keep an element of surprise. So they're going to show you like the right path, but they're also going to show you like 5 other paths that would make you like trip up, so you don't fully understand what's going on, because then it's not fun for the reader. If they like read it and know immediately, like, where's the fun in that? So they give you the right option, but they give you a bunch of different options. So like that was one of the avenues that they were like, this could also be it, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that there would have been a little bit more of a shock factor, but I also didn't, like you said, I didn't figure out the ending, but it wasn't like mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was just like random. Like, I wish we would have seen, or like at least if you're gonna be that subtle about it during the entire story, give me that recap of, oh, I remember, like, I mean, that might be a little convenient, but I would really appreciate that recap at the end of being like, oh, that's why you were over here, and like you see little spots of things, type of thing. Like one of the murders say that the nurse was outside attending to the help, or she was always there, type of thing. And then you pull back and you're like, oh, I that's why that she was always there, is because she was doing it and she was watching and things like that. Like, that would have been really appreciated.
Correct. Yeah. And then there was also the scene where he found out that Tom was like betraying him. Were they packing up their stuff? He locked the door and the cop is trying to get into the dorm, and he tells Tom, distract the cop, and he leaves. Does he leave out the window? How does he leave? That was another thing that I was like, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah, when he's in his dorm room and he escapes the cop. I was like, how did he leave? No? Okay. Very, very, like, minor detail, so. It's like another action scene that I was just like, stop brushing over action scenes so quickly. I keep having to like reread it to understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything missing that you would have liked to see in this book?
Maybe a little bit more interaction between Charlotte and Jamie before, which we discussed before they became like best friends.
I really wish that they would have played up on the past a little bit more. Like, we would have, if we would have like seen interactions between Charlotte and the nurse, or Charlotte and August, or something like that, like we would have had it more significant with the killer, and it wouldn't just been like a random thing like, okay.
Yeah. I Also, I would have liked to have seen Watson's intelligence more. Like, I didn't really see him do much.
Yeah, fair enough.
Besides always being there when Holmes does something, he's always just commenting. Like, did he act? I mean, he found out that the room was bugged. Okay, that was good. But I'm like, other than that, like, he didn't really do much.
Okay, here's the thing.
I mean, he didn't really do much. Yes. Well, yeah, he seems like a sidekick. Yes. But like, and he's supposed to be a main character, and he's supposed to be smart, right? If he's like, because Dr. John Watson is actually, I mean, he's not as smart as Sherlock, but he's supposed to be, he helps Sherlock with things that he misses, you know?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
So, one, Charlotte's been raised like this, like, bred like a purebred. Like, you've been raised like this to search out these clues, that this is going to be your survival. Like, this is your legacy. You have to be good at this. Like, she's been ingrained in her brain that she has to act like this and think like this and be that fast one that's always solving it. Watson didn't grow up like that. He just grew up like, you are the sidekick. So it's not like he got the same training, and they addressed that in the next book too, is you got that training, I didn't. And
okay.
So they're on two different playing fields.
Okay.
So you're seeing Sherlock pull off Sherlock, you guys know what I mean. Charlotte, like, pulling off these major intellectual things, and him not so much, but he like wants to learn. Like, in the beginning they talked about, like, I want to learn and teach me how to do these things, and I want to be a part of this type of thing, when she's already been doing it by herself. So Charlotte is going to be much smarter than him, just in general. He learns quickly, and he's got different skill sets, but he's nowhere near the intelligence that Charlotte is. I'm gonna continue calling her
That's fine.
And so, like, they're gonna be on two different levels, and I think we want to see them on the same level, kind of like the Thomas Cresswell, Audrey Rose, like, they're kind of on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Sherlock and Watson are very much different levels, and so I think that's just how things are. Yeah. But he's got a different skill set than she does, because he's better. He can read people better. So that's where Sherlock, like, Sherlock can catch the analytical parts of it and break down, like, well, this means this because he's done that. But Watson can read people and vibe off people different. So they have different skill sets. They're both smart, but just not on the level that Sherlock is.
Watson is Leonard and Charlotte is Sheldon from The Big Bang.
Yes, yeah.
No, but I completely agree with what you're saying. I just wish that we had seen, and I guess maybe you'll see it in the further books, because this is not a standalone. Yeah. So I have to stop thinking of it as like a standalone. But I wish we would have seen him do something, like pick up on something, like figure something out. But I guess we'll probably see that further into this series. Him like figuring out how to solve more and like deduct and stuff.
I mean, eventually. I mean, yeah. He's still a little sidekicky.
A little, yeah. I guess he did realize, like, when he got injected, that he was poisoned. So at least he knew that.
It's just like, it's hard to shine when you're standing next to a light type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's smart compared to other people, but he's just not going to ever seem smart next to Sherlock.
Yeah. Which actually, I thought it was so sweet at the very end, like the epilogue, we're like reading from Charlotte's point of view, and she says, what does she say? Oh my God, it's so sweet how like Watson actually isn't like a sidekick. He's actually really brave and smart.
Yeah.
I love that.
We get to see like the tender bits of Sherlock instead of just like the analytical cold.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to discuss before we close out this live show? Oh, we want to talk about what we're reading next month?
Yes, let's do it.
So I don't have my book. The next book we're going to be doing is Strange the Dreamer. And if you guys have a Barnes & Noble near you, Strange the Dreamer in paperback is 50% off right now.
Okay, I need to go and get it then. I went to Half Price Books today looking for it, and they didn't have it. So I am going to go to Barnes & Noble and get it. So, yeah.
And speaking of Sherlock, he's like, why are you holding me like this, mother?
Kitty. I'm excited to read Strange the Dreamer. It has like 4 point... It's got a lot on Goodreads.
Yeah, it's got really high ratings. The only thing is, like, I haven't finished her other books, so I'm wondering if that's gonna, like... I know it's not together. I know the series isn't together, but everybody says, like, you're reading that book, have you already read the other ones type of thing?
Do you have to finish them? I haven't...
I don't think so. I think it's a different series, but...
Okay. I thought so. I mean, I'm halfway through the second one of her other series, so...
Okay. The UK edition is beautiful.
It looks like the UK. Is that the one that's blue and yellow, or is it the one that has like the butterfly on top? They both have a butterfly.
Butterfly.
So there's one that's like total blue, completely blue, and then there's one that's blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow is US version because I have the blue and yellow.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for a good live show, and then we will be back to discuss Indigo Spell.
I'm so excited.
All right, we will be back in a little bit, guys.